weigh in a couple of times, most recently, and then the COVID year. I'm not even sure what the viewing party was like for that. Does this one feel a little bit more almost normal for a selection?
Oh, last year was about the same, I think. No, it's always really a good feeling. Got to experience it as an assistant at Kansas State, as the head coach at Kansas State, Creighton a number of times, and now here. Never gets old, and I'm just excited for Brandon and Supreme, TJ, Raheem, guys that came here wanting to experience this. In transfer situations in their last year and getting that opportunity.
Being sent to Seattle. That had to be the best case scenario.
Well, we were happy about it. Yeah, we thought Seattle or Denver, were pretty good options for us. Providence, Cleveland, probably not, just because we just got back from Indy, and so we'll have 2 full days, and we play on Friday, which will help us, give us 2 full days to practice here, and which we desperately need. And then we'll travel Wednesday and practice there Thursday, and be ready to go whatever tip-off time is on Friday.
You don't make any excuses for the travel, but all the fights you've had to take, the distance you've had to go, the close games you've had to play, do you feel like this team's really battle-tested and hardened for tournament play?
I'm not sure that's the right. I think they've, handled everything. We told them it is what it is, and let's go. And I don't think you can handle it any other way. If you talk about it, it gets in their heads. But they handled it. They never heard the guys complain. And I mentioned the university was great. Everybody supported us, in travel, so we traveled comfortably. So no, I thought the guys handled it, and it wasn't that much different. The only big difference was like the 2 days in between games on the road, rather than the 1 day that we were used to. So, but other than that, it wasn't that big of a change. Don't know. Richie McKay, been there, but Conference USA, but I just don't know. I've never seen him play. So we'll get busy tonight. I'm sure Scott's got some film that he's putting on my pad right now, and we'll get started tonight. But I have not seen them play, so I don't know.
They are extremely prolific from 3. That's
I heard that. So it'll test our defense. But in these games, these teams don't win. I think they won 28 games. If I saw that right on the TV, you don't win 28 games by accident. And so they were going to do something well. And we'll just have to challenge shooters, and our defense will have to be really good and try to limit their threes. But a team like that's always dangerous. They get it going. I thought, we had an opportunity against Michigan State. We just 4 for 19 from 3, and we had 5 or 6 good looks that, really uncontested threes. We just didn't hit any of them. And they went 7 for 15. And so the three-pointer is always a big part of the game.
You haven't watched the team play all year, but you start watching film on them. Where are you looking? What are the things you gravitate towards paying attention to?
Well, because James said they're such a good three-point shooting team, we'll look at that. But no, their style. Do they change defenses? How do they guard out-of-bounds plays? How do they guard ball screens? How do they guard cutters? Do they double the post? All those things from an offensive perspective, and then from a defensive perspective, just trying to get tendencies, looking at what they do well, their movements, their set plays. Are they a big transition team? Just general, you start from scratch. And so that process will start tonight, and we'll sign a couple of the coaches to this game, and a couple to Arizona, and a couple to Akron. That's why the advantage of having a big staff. You can get everybody started on a particular team, and I'll start work on Liberty, and hopefully we'll be ready to go on Friday.
Playing in a new league this year, you had to play a lot of teams that you weren't necessarily familiar with. Do you feel like playing in a new conference this year and having that experience, essentially not just you but your staff and your players, to be able to play and perform and scout teams, that experience is going to help in the NCAA tournament when you might face some teams you haven't faced in a while?
I don't know, but we had a lot of one-game scouts this year, which is really unusual. Usually you play a team twice, and we had a lot of one-game scouts this year. I thought the guys did a pretty good job with it. We'll have a little more time with this one, so but so does Liberty. They'll have plenty of time to get ready for us, and we'll have plenty of time to get ready for them. That's, again, one of the advantages of playing on Friday rather than Thursday. Get that extra day of preparation.
Look at Nate and kind of his 4-year trajectory here. What has he done this year to really turn himself into just a top-notch player?
Stayed healthy is the big thing. He was going to have a really good year last year. He had prepared himself for last season and worked really hard. And the first couple of years he had to put on some weight, had to get used to the physicality of the game. Going against Dante every day is not a lot of fun. But he was going to have a really good year last year. And the wrist injury held him back. And so he's better prepared. He's stronger. He practices harder. Those characteristics that I knew were in there, maturity and just being around helped. He watched Dante, and I thought Dante was really good for him. Maybe a little tough on him as a freshman and sophomore, but really good for him, last year. So, no, he's just gotten better. He's worked harder. He wants to be a player, and that's a big part of it. You got to get in the weight room. You got to do something every day. I think he's eating better, taking care of himself a little better. And that's all always used to be part of the 4 or 5 year growth that you watched in players. And we got to watch him go through it. I go back to a player I had at Creighton, Anthony Tolliver. Played 11 years in the NBA, but his freshman year, 1 point a game. Sophomore, 5 points a game. Junior took off, senior really took off. Just the progress that you watch those guys go through. And, it's just kind of fun watching Nate, because big guys usually do take a little bit longer to get used to the physicality. No matter what they do in high school, the big guys, it just usually takes a little longer.
What sort of conversations do you have with him about next year, and when do those conversations take place?
We haven't had any. That's something that Nate and I'll sit down. We want to have a great year this year. I'm sure he'll take a look at the NBA and go through that process. I would encourage him to do that, just to learn what they want him to work on, what they want him to do. And then, if he wants to come back, we'd love to have him. He's an Oregon guy. I hope he loves it here. We sure love working with him. He's a winner, and you always want good team guys. So we'll talk with he and his family and agent and all that when we get this year done. But I know he wants to focus in on this year.
Talk to you since all league honors came out. Your thoughts on Biddle and Bamba both getting all defense and just potential that they could give you guys in the tournament defensively? Well,
Nate's been unbelievable around the basket, just keeping us competitive and keeping guys out of the lane. TJ's a very good physical perimeter defender. I thought he's done a tremendous job. so I'm really happy for them. Jackson was all conference 13, whatever. So he was recognized. So I'm happy for all three of those guys. When you got an 18-team conference, it's a little different. I started out in the old Big Eight. There was eight teams, and then conferences started to grow, and so now you're 18 teams, and I think there was only 5 on each team. I don't even know for sure, but if there was, that's 15 guys, and then the all defensive team was 5. So I thought that's pretty good recognition for those 3 guys.
Does have the competition top to bottom, and for the most part, that was fairly true. At the same time, there's 3 coaching changes already in the league, and I know you and Fran have played a couple of times over the years and probably know each other a little bit. Just how competitive this league was by comparison to the Pac-12, and kind of the threshold and tolerance for success and failure in this league by comparison when veteran coaches are getting.
Well, it's different. There are a lot of similarities. I personally, the Pac-12, I thought was very competitive. When UCLA, USC, Washington, and us are still 4 schools, and then you take Arizona, and Colorado's been good. You lose 3 NBA players, you're probably going to take a step back like they did this year. Stanford and Cal was always a tough road trip for us. So maybe some teams didn't have the financial resources that some of the teams in the Big Ten have. As we look forward to NIL and revenue sharing and all that, Illinois is not going anywhere, Indiana's not going anywhere, Maryland's not going anywhere, the Michigan schools aren't going anywhere, UCLA's not going anywhere, USC's got resources and NIL, so you got to battle. Washington spent a lot of money this year, so you're going to have to battle with resources. You got to have great coaching staffs that. I like our staff, and we've stayed together. I think that's important. But you're right, Fran's a good basketball coach. He's done a good job for 15 years. Indiana's a blue blood, whatever they call it, and they've always have high expectations. Minnesota has been good. We played against Clem Haskins teams back in the day, and I know they made a Final Four run a long time ago. So, there's just a lot of teams that expect to compete and have the financial resources to do that. And so it's a competitive league, and whether it's football, basketball, we're going to have to compete, and our staff knows that, our guys know that. But in comparison, again, I love the Pac-12. 14 years, but times change, and we had to make the move. I mean, financially, it was the only way you could go, and it's great to be in the Big Ten. Personally, I think right now everybody wants to be in the Southeast Conference or the Big Ten, no matter how competitive it is. Those are you look at the Southeast Conference in basketball, that 13, 14 teams, and we had 8. Thought we should have maybe had 9. I was shocked that West Virginia was left out. So it's tough here at the end, and especially if you don't get in, because everybody's trying to get their foot in the door to try to make a run.
You said this team needs the work after the couple days you get before Friday. Where areas specifically are you talking about?
Well, we didn't rebound. We didn't go after the ball. Just watching the film, we stood around, waited for Nate to go get it, and I was really disappointed in that. Our ball movement at times wasn't good. We just made too many mistakes, as I mentioned, and we didn't shoot it well enough to cover up those mistakes. You go 4 for 19 from 3, and you're not covering up any mistakes. But made too many mistakes, didn't rebound the ball well enough at all to beat a really, really good team. They're athletic, they're deep, they beat you up. They're a +10 rebounding, and they're 8-something in the league. So we knew going in they were a very good rebounding team, and we didn't make the adjustments. We didn't get it done on the board. So we'll do a lot of rebounding drills and defensive drills. James says we need to guard the 3-point shot, so we'll get on that and see what we can do there. But we, in our ball movement at times was, just not there. We got impatient, tried to attack one side, and the defense was set. You can't attack Michigan's defense on one side. They're big, 2 big guys inside, and they stacked that defense. You got to make a move, and we didn't make a move. The ball movement wasn't good enough.